In recent years, calls for reparations in response to the enormous injustice of slavery and Jim Crow has been gaining traction, but often left out of the discussion is the role that the media has played in promoting the systemic harm done to black people for centuries in this country. Well, my next guests are working to change that. In a recent article titled, "The Business of Forging a Shared Future Begins with Media Reparations." Woo, what a title. They argue that the U.S. media system has been a chief architect of our nation's anti-black narrative since 1619. And they say that reparations paid by large media companies, quote, could help us finally move forward and repair the harm our media system has caused to the black community. Joining me now to discuss the issue are two of the authors from the article that I just quoted. We're joined by Alicia Bell. She's director of the Racial Equity and Journalism Fund at Borealis Philanthropy. And I'm also joined by Damaso Reyes. Once again, he is the founder of Clarify Media. Welcome to Black News Tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
Alicia, let me start with you. You write that the media has been a, quote, chief architect of anti-black narratives since 1619. What are some examples of that history?
So what we know is that the news organizations, especially print media, that have been in our country for so long, played a direct role and were players in the trafficking of humans via chattel slavery. And we see that where it was newsrooms, it was news organizations who were sometimes the locations of slave auctions, sometimes the places for buying and selling, and also oftentimes the home of ads for enslaved people. We see examples of that all across different news organizations, but one in particular that stands out to me is Thomas Jefferson, who ran an ad for a human who had escaped from slavery on land that he owned, and he ran that in the Virginia Gazette. In the Virginia Gazette, they built profit and they profited off of those slave ads. We see that across all different kinds of news organizations. And then I think that is just kind of the foundation for the different narratives that we've seen and the ways that folks have been able to build profit off of Black bodies. And for one example, the Georgia Telegraph, it became the Macon Telegraph. It was then purchased by Knight Ridder, which was a national TV and news organization. Knight Ridder sold the Macon Telegraph to McClatchy for $6.5 billion. So the Georgia Telegraph that was running ads for escaped slaves was then sold years later to McClatchy for $6.5 billion. And then that money that Knight made off of that became some of the money that got rolled into the endowment for the Knight Foundation. So there's just examples like that happen all across the United States.
Wow, I mean, that's an extraordinary amount of wealth. And it's the argument we make about universities and insurance companies and other major American institutions that have benefited in just extraordinary fashion from the enslavement of African people. Damaso, how does this country's de facto media apartheid system, that's a quote, continue in our present day? How are Black journalists and media creators especially vulnerable to it?
Well, so-called mainstream media largely does not represent the citizens of our country that it's supposed to serve. Survey after survey, media census after media census tells us that large news organizations do not accurately reflect the metropolitan areas that they're based in or the national audiences, if they're that big, that they're trying to serve. Young Black journalists, including myself back in the day, find it very difficult to break into these news organizations. And that is part of the reason why many of these news organizations, whether they be local, regional, or national, have a very difficult time fairly and accurately covering communities of color because their newsrooms don't reflect the communities that they're trying to cover. And they're constantly talking about how they're doing initiatives, they're trying. I mean, we can go back to the Kerner Commission report more than.
I think Damaso is frozen there. Alicia, you're still there. Talk to me about this thought, though. I mean, he's on to something here, right? When he talks about the way that black, particularly, I want to drill down this place that black and brown journalists occupy. You know, how are we particularly vulnerable in this media environment that he described?
Yeah, I think we see a ton of examples of where Black and brown journalists are being pushed out of newsrooms because of the culture of the newsroom. We see a lot of times where Black and brown journalists are not able to move through to leadership in a newsroom. And then we see even more than that, places where Black and brown journalists are not able to be owners or publishers of news organizations. There are, of course, examples of kind of one-off instances of this happening, or a few people who are able to build wealth, Black and brown folks who are able to build wealth around media. But across the board, that's not the case. And just as an example of that, the Democracy Fund, they followed about $1.1 billion that was given in grants to journalism. And of that $1.1 billion, 8% was given to Black and brown media makers. And the same is true. We see it all the time when Black folks go to start up new news organizations. Crunchbase did a bit of analysis on $147 billion. 1.2% of that went to Black startup entrepreneurs. So it happens all across the place, from for-profit to nonprofit news, and then in the culture in the newsroom, and the way that folks are able to tell stories. It's honestly miraculous and incredible that we have Black journalists that are producing excellent news stories and journalism on a regular basis.
Okay, Alicia, I'm making you the media czar of the United States. Okay, Damaso's back too. So I'm going to ask a question to each of you, and you can build on each other because I'm sure y'all are on the same page with this. I'm making you the dual media czars of the world or of the United States. What does media reparations look like concretely? What does it? What would the ask be, and who would get it, and how? Damaso, let me go with you.
Well, in the article we wrote, we made a very specific demand, and that's that the top 10 print and media outlets devote at least 10% of their pre-tax, and this is important, pre-tax profits to support a fund to support Black and ethnic media. As well, we're calling on journalism philanthropy, so places like the Knight Foundation, the Ford Foundation, to allocate 80% of their funding, as well as to expand their funding for media, but to allocate 80% of that expanded funding to funding institutions that are run by and serve communities of color. And this is important because journalism philanthropy has essentially reinforced a apartheid media system. So, for example, last year, the New York Times very proudly announced that they had raised $4 million for a new initiative, 1.5 of which came from the Ford Foundation. Now, the New York Times, of which I'm a subscriber and a supporter, made tens of millions of dollars of profit last year. Should they be getting money from the Ford Foundation? I would argue, as someone who has primarily worked for Black and brown media in his career, the answer is no. The New York Times is doing just fine. But Black and brown newspapers like the African American or the New York Amsterdam News, of which I'm a longtime contributor, are not doing fine. They need the support of organizations like the Ford Foundation, and they need increased support by those organizations.
And Alicia, I'll give you the last word here. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then the governmental aspect of media reparations, when we look historically, for example, when radio broadcast licenses were distributed, they were distributed for free, but only to white men. So all of the radio broadcast licenses that folks received were free, but it was all white men who were able to build that wealth. And so I think on the governmental side, we've been calling for a racial equity audit of all of the FCC policies that have happened throughout history and continue today. And want to shout out Congress member Jamal Bowman, who also led a letter from other Congress members calling on the FCC to conduct that racial equity audit of their policies and figure out in that analysis and that audit, what are the reparative policies that can help us move forward to a media system where everybody gets to thrive. Because until there's Black liberation in media, there is no total liberation for anyone.
That's gospel right there. Damaso, Alicia, thank you so much. Thank you so much for breaking this down, and thank you so much for joining me on Black News Tonight.